So guys, today we're going to run through documenting data lineage with Dataedo. We're going to be running through things end to end, and it's going to be led by our founder and CEO, Pyotr Kononov. So he's going to walk us through all things data lineage. For the agenda here, what we'll be doing is we'll start by covering what is data lineage to impact analysis. Then we'll head on into what's the challenge. So at a high level, what is the challenge that brings us to need to utilize data lineage and how that impacts our work. Then we'll go into data lineage specifically in Dataedo, what we currently have, and also what we are working on and what's planned. There towards the end, we will cover what you need if you are looking to take advantage of Dataedo or data lineage within Dataedo. We'll do a couple announcements at the end, and then we will do a Q&A. So from here, Pyotr, I'll hand it over to you and let you run us through data lineage.
All right, thanks, Chase. Hi, everyone, and let's talk about data lineage. Let's start with a little theory. What is data lineage? I'm pretty sure most of you know, but it's a documentation or a vision of the flow of the data in your ecosystem. So all your databases, ETLs, BI tools, and so on. Over here, you can see a diagram of the lineage. It's a pretty simple concept. Data comes, flows from point A to point B using some sort of, something that moves this data. So a diagram is pretty simple. What is complex is to actually figuring out how the data flows. There are two concepts: data lineage and impact analysis. You can see my cartoon over here that illustrates the concept. So lineage is everything the data is, looking at particular place point in your system. So lineage is where the data came from. Everything every place it visited before it got to where it is. So let's say table in data warehouse. So all the source systems, ETL systems, and all that's lineage. And impact analysis is everything that's ahead. Everything that why is impact analysis important? That's everything you can break if you, for instance, I don't know, drop this table or disable this ETL package or and so on. So it's visualized here with this person swimming canoe. He's on a collision course apparently. That's another visualization of the concept. So lineage is where we came from, and impact is what we can still break. It's visualized usually on a diagram. So lineage is everything on the left of the central object that you're looking at, and impact analysis is all that on the right. So all those usually at the end there are reports and users. One more thing to understand: there are two levels of lineage. All the tools fall into one of those categories and actually support those two modes. One is the object level lineage, where you only see the objects such as tables, procedures, reports, and so on, and the flow between those objects. And there are column level lineage, when you see actually fields, columns, and you see the track that specific value flows through the system. Most of the tools support the object level. It's easier, and the column level is it's like an extension of that. Also, you can think of the data lineage depending on you can classify lineage depending on how you create it. So the best case scenario is that it's fully automatic. Some sort of tool builds the lineage for you, and it's completely it's complete. No further work is required, but that's usually not achievable fully in most cases. So another approach might be that some elements are automated, and the rest you can complete. Add some context, some additional metadata. This is our approach. We actually, that's our value added, that we automate some things and allow you to complete additional information. Many tools don't allow that, so that's one of our differentiators. And there's also a way of creating lineage that you don't do it completely manually, but you system gives you some suggestions. So some tools can figure out lineage exactly, and sometimes it's just a it's just a guess, and it's up to a person to verify that. And at the very bottom, there's a fully manual where no system, no tool can actually figure out how the data flows. Sometimes it's impossible, so it's a fully manual. Most tools will, in different areas of the lineage, will fall in one of these categories. Why is it the challenge? Why is actually building a data lineage challenge? It's because the variety of technologies and different ways, formats and ways the data is processed is unlimited practically, and it's ever growing every year. It's more and more complex. Even this is some diagram from AWS, and you can see how many different tools and platforms and services they have in their ecosystem, and just a fraction of that. And think of everything that happens outside of that: some data warehouse, some BI tools, someone written a script somewhere, right? So there you can store. You can process data with stored procedures, views, external tables. There are different ETL tools, but not only that. Someone could have created some batch files. So there's such a variety that I don't think it will ever be possible to automate fully. Think of someone who did something manually, input some information manually. It's not possible currently to track this. So it's something that can never be complete. That's why I believe our approach, where you can actually automate what we can automate and allow you to document the rest. That's why I believe it's so important and beneficial for you. A few examples of the data flow. So storage procedure, that's one case. You can do some processing. There's a lot of logic usually in the databases stored in stored procedures. So over here you can see that one table is being fed with data from another table. So that's one type of processing. Another are views, very common use case. Every database almost has some views, and understanding how they're used, what are those different layers is very important. So that's a very typical way of using of processing data, and one aspect of data lineage. Another is very typical ETL, where you have some sort of package and source tables, in a source system, and this destination table is usually a data warehouse. So another very typical case. This is a screenshot from Power BI, where you have reports and dashboards on the right, and data sets on the left. And what Power BI doesn't do, cannot do for data lineage, one is column level, and also they cannot show you what happened before that. So they can visualize what happens inside the Power BI. So data sets up. Dataedo can actually fill that void and can document the complete view of that. So basically ETLs, everything that happens in database and BI tools. This is like the typical landscape of what's going on. Before that, you can even go further. Some third parties can, you can use some APIs or webhooks to load your system to, for instance, your CRM or something. So there's a large variety of different places, technologies that your data flows through. Okay, let's talk about Dataedo. First thing I'd like to know, it's we're building something great at Dataedo. We've done a lot of functionalities and automations, but this is still work in progress. So in this presentation, I'll show you how it looks right now, but also tell you a lot about what we're planning. We have a lot of plans for this year, for next quarter. So the documentation capabilities will be more extensive. So for the first thing we have delivered recently is the parsing of SQL. That's available for SQL Server and Azure. So basically what we can do currently is when we import database schema, we automatically create lineage, column level lineage for views. And actually I can show you how it works. Remove this view and re-import it from scratch. So I will connect to my data source. You can do it for any existing connection, as long as SQL Server will be adding more engines soon. Just make sure it's this option is checked. Automatic lineage will be parsing that. You can disable that if maybe it takes a little too long. You don't need that, so you can disable that. But by default, it's enabled. So we click that. It will connect to my database, scan the views. I have to check it because I deleted it. And right now it's importing the schema, the script, and is parsing the script to understand its structure and the flows. So it's finished. And if we check the view, that's here, and check the data lineage, you can see there's a object level lineage, and there's also a column level lineage over here. And if we open this in the web and go to the data lineage, you will see that there are flows. So you can see what tables this was the data is coming from, and then you can see where it's going further. And if you click this option over here, column level lineage, you will see this on the column level. So if you select a column, right, you will see the flow. Yeah, so that happened automatically. Also, we support object level lineage for views already for a while now, and that is imported read from the dependencies. So those engines connectors that support dependencies, that's Oracle and a number of other, Snowflake, Postgres, SQL, and so on. Those are already created this diagram, but it doesn't include column level yet. But this is something we're working on. This is our high-level roadmap. So what we've done currently is we created this select statement. There are different types of SQL statements that can move data around in databases. We'll be first exploring the select statements for more engines, the ones that say soon, so MySQL, Postgres, Redshift, Oracle. That will happen most likely Q2, Q3 at the latest, and we'll be expanding to Snowflake and BigQuery and maybe some other engines later that year. And whatever says later over here will be, so parsing stored procedures, we'll be investigating as soon as we finish the basics of those core connectors, and ideally we'll be able to ship majority of that this year. So we'll be able to parse your views, stored procedures, some other scripts, even from the system logs, and then build lineage automatically.
Piotr, William asked if you need to re-import the views.
Well, you need to re-import the schema. No need to do what I did. I deleted just to show you that it was created from scratch. No need to do anything outside your upgrading to 10.4 and clicking this import changes. So yeah, no need to remove anything. Just click the import button. BI tools. Okay, so we've delivered the Power BI, and with the basic scope of object level lineage that works, imports data sets, reports, dashboards, and to some extent can look further up the stream for to the sources, so to your data warehouse, but it's supported for SQL Server, and we'll be expanding that. So we're currently doing R&D and working on expanding to column level, and in the future, this year definitely, I don't know when exactly, we'd like to include the SQL parsing if there's a custom SQL in the report, and we're also releasing very soon, in 2 months or so, Tableau, and that will cover almost complete lineage, apart from SQL parsing. So no custom SQL query, but if you're using data sources and if you have them imported, the Tableau will include that. We are also working on SSRS. And Redash, we use Redash. That's why we added. It's relatively simple tool. So it's a good for our R&D. And in the future, it's hard to tell when exactly we will be looking into adding support for Click and Looker. We use the first 4 to actually learn a lot. So we'd like to almost complete the first 4, and then we'll focus on the other connectors. It should be much easier with the knowledge and tools we've built in the initial ones. So for Power BI, what we did right now, what's working right now, this is the diagram created automatically. You connect to your Power BI. Currently, we don't support on-prem. On-prem is a strange, it's actually SSRS under the hood. So we have to build SSRS before we can provide support for Power BI. So it should be coming shortly. Right now, it's a Power BI Premium, so you connect to the cloud. We import reports, we import data sets with all the columns and fields. However, we don't build the column level lineage yet. This is something we're working on. Quite likely will be in 2-3 months, maybe in 2 quarters. And if we can find the source, so usually SQL server, we build the links to the databases automatically. But you can also, with the power of Dataedo, you can also always create those the lineage manually. This is what I mentioned is our benefits. That the benefit we provide is that we do automatically what we can, and we allow you to build the rest manually. Okay, so this is just a recap of what I said about what's coming in Power BI. ETL tools. So similar story. We'd like to learn like the full scope of the 3 connectors, 3 technologies we support so far. So dbt, SSIS, and Azure Data Factory. We've built a basic object level mapping, and we'll be working on SSIS actually quite extensively in early Q3. We'll be shipping SSIS with SQL parsing, connection to supporting connection to multiple sources, and the same for dbt. dbt, you can also write queries, and we'll be parsing them as well. Similarly to Azure Data Factory and the other engines, depending on the popularity, the AWS Glue and Talent seem to be likely ones we'll be working on next. So at least the plan for the next 2 quarters will be to improve the first 3. I'd like to talk to you about building data lineage manually. I'll show you in the desktop, but a little theory about the building lineage. So our approach. The diagram looks a little complex, but it's not that difficult. So when there's lineage, when we talk about lineage, there's source objects and the destination object. That's quite simple. At least a single processing, a single flow has a source and destination. Usually a table, and a destination is the table, and source could be something else, a query, a view, or something. And then there's a processor. Processor is an object, so something that moves the data. It can be a stored procedure, it can be ETL package, it can be some sort of custom script, but also it could be a view. For instance, there's a case of views, processor and destination objects is the same, because view is like a script that is writing to itself, right? It's not physically written, but view is processing its own data. Then every processor in Dataedo has processes, so steps. In this simplest scenario, there's just one. In more complex, there are more. Like imagine stored procedure that has a number of statements. Each step would be one statement, right? Each statement would then could read one set of tables to another set of tables. ETL packages also have different steps. On the bottom, there are source columns. So the top is the object level, and you can extend that with the column level if you like, or if the automation actually can support that. So you can choose map one set of columns to another. Pretty simple. So yeah, I'd like to show you how you do it in desktop and how you see it in the web. Let's document an ETL package like we would do manually. You can do it right now, right, for any ETL. And let's say we would like to load an employees table to the data warehouse. So I created a manual container and manual database. I do it by clicking add and add manual database. I called it ETL because it's a representation of my ETL tool. And then I use manual procedures to add a procedure or package that represents ETL package, right? So I click add procedure. In the future, near future, we'll be extending the catalog of those types of objects, so you can actually choose the ETL package, so it's more relevant. Let's call it ETL package 2. I don't define anything, any input output, no script, because it's just a container for my mapping of my lineage. Okay, so now it's just a regular procedure. I can write some descriptions here, and there's no input there. But let's move to the data lineage tab. Over here, this is where you define the lineage manually if there's no automation happening, and you can start from scratch. Let's hide columns. It's irrelevant for now. There are two tabs, outflows and inflows. Inflows are all the objects that flow into this processor, this object, and outflows is everything that's going out. And you can also see there's a list of processes with default process. So default process is, these are the steps that our ETL will have. But let's create a new one. Let's call it employees. Right, I created a new one, and let's now use this right pane to find our employee table. My catalog is full of different tables. Some of this is samples. So let's just pick AdventureWorks. I think it's here, and drag it to the inflows, which means my this employee step of my ETL package 2 is reading employee table, and I would like to write it to the let's use this one, dim employee, which is data warehouse, and I drag it here. And when I save it, I already defined the lineage. As you can see, it's very simple. If I have some, stored procedures, there's some script. There are suggestions, suggested entities, so you can you can use search, but some of them will be suggested. So let's have a look at the lineage I've built so far. As you can see, I didn't do a lot of work, and I already have hopefully a really nice diagram. Yeah, so I have I can see that my table, one table flows in and the other flows out. And if I go and navigate this graph, I can actually see this from multiple angles, right? So I can see where this table is being used, right? And if I check this table, I can see all the data journey from the perspective of this particular table. So as you can see, I was able to map the lineage. I haven't done a lot of work, and I already see how the data flows. Yeah, so pretty simple, I would say, right? So you define processes, or in the simplest case, you just use the default one, and you just drag and drop, save, and that's it. After a while, you have a nice network that you can navigate across. Then you can define column level lineage if you like. That's optional. You can do it for any lineage, even the one created automatically. Okay, so let's do that for my example. So I can see all the columns from the inflow, but in my case, I'm mapping loading of this table, so I would like to see all the columns that are in the destination. So I click this button, and I see all the tables in this table. By the way, I can add more objects over here, right? If there are more objects taking part in this lineage, this is a simple example. Okay, so what I do now, I would be choosing inflow columns. This is, so one line represents flow from one column to another. If I'd like to use the same employee key for some reason was a combination of two columns, I would just simply add it here and point to another column. I think I know what you might be asking right now. Is it possible to document the transformation? So what kind of calculation I'm used? Currently, it's not possible in this version. In a couple of months, we'll be adding an additional set of columns over here. On the right, it will be on a separate tab. So all the flows will have a transformation field, a description field, and custom fields defined by you on the repository level, so you can define mapping of your columns. Yes, I'll show that in a couple of minutes. You can, as you can see, that could be quite a work to map all those columns. So we've created this intelligent mapping matching functionality. If you click this one, this button, it matched columns with similar names. When I say similar, it doesn't mean they are not the same. So hire date and birthday is the same, but if you check job title, it says job title and this says title. So that means it tries to guess similarity of the string and provide you with the best possible guess. You have to review it, and if you're okay with that, you click save. You can modify it manually, and if we now go to the diagram, so let's go back to this package. I can click show me column level. As you can see, now it flows. I don't know why this is behaving so strangely, but yeah, you can see which columns are flowing. Yeah, exactly. You see that the pairs of the columns. Okay, so that's the work you do with when mapping manually. This as you've seen, this was built automatically for views, and in the future will be built automatically for other SQL statements, for BI, for ETL, and so on. You'll be able to provide extra information with those additional fields. SQL will also create this transformation field, right? So whenever there's some adding, some formulas, it will be also visible. Okay, there was another question we received a while back. What if you'd like to show, how the tables are being joined? So, I can show the tables that flow into that that transformation, but maybe I'd like to see how those, what kind of query or logic was used. So I can use manual query. I created a simple query here that explains how this data was prepared, right? If I'd like to show, for instance, the full name is I merged, concatenated first name and last name. I enjoyed some tables. So if I would like someone to understand how that was created, then I can use this query to now save it as a in this case. I will create manual view. In near future, we'll be adding more sections. So a natural place would be data set, right? It will be data set. I would create it manually. For ETLs, or for ETLs and BI tools, we'll be extracting that automatically. And if you're documenting manually, you can create it like that. So simply create, in this case, view, in the future data set or some other category, just to make it more easier to find. Paste script, I paste it here. I import. Right now it created columns from the SQL. The SQL is here. Let's call it employees data set. Save it. It should appear here. Yes, now it's visible. The lineage is not visible yet because I have to go to script. Currently, I have to do it manually. In future, we'll be creating lineage automatically. Hope it works. Yeah, it asked me a question about the default schema. I confirm, and as you can see, the lineage was built automatically. So I have inflows and outflows based on columns, and I see both tables, and I also see the script, the one I just created. So I had to write the script, and then I explain how this data, I save it, how this data. So it's still an inflow data to my package. So if I'd like to go back here and replace that, then let's click remove, and let's use the I think it was this one, data set. I can use this as a source. Yes. Again, let's match those columns. Maybe they don't fit. I don't know. Let's do it here. Oh, it was done here. Okay. Need to make sure to add it in the right process. Let's try again. Yeah. Okay. So there's a match. Now I save it, and let's see what happens. What impact it has on a diagram. So right now, between my employee table and my ETL package, I have a object in between. It's a employee data set that I've created that explains how the tables were joined, how they were. I can see here on the script how they were joined. In the future, we might visualize this join. Yeah, how the fields were calculated, right? And yeah, and I see a data lineage with the additional step. Okay, so that's how you do how you build the object level lineage and how you build column level lineage manually. As I said, a lot of that will be created automatically. I can move on now to tell you about the plans, what we're building this year and later. So those processes currently they have inflows and outflows and columns, and we'll like you to be able to provide more metadata. So scripts are one. Scripts are so imagine you have a stored procedure. And it has a number of steps, so each could be a separate step, and you could cut it into smaller pieces, so you are working with one small statement at a time. Similarly to ETL tools, where you have a execute a SQL statement, for instance, and that could be pasted over here and could be parsed separately. Also, description field, so you can provide the description for the additional context on the process. I mentioned also the transformation and description for the particular column level lineage, column flows. That's what we are adding also in Q3, early Q3. So in a couple of months, you will have additional fields, so you can provide more context, and you can, description is a free text field, and the transformation you can also use it as free text field, but it will be created from the extracted from different sources as well, so you understand how those columns were joined together, and a number of custom fields, just like with any other place in the product. Currently, we support automated lineage for database views. We're expanding this functionality, and recently we launched a catalog of your favorite queries. So something you can paste from Notepad or some other place that doesn't is not stored in the database. But let's say you have a query that you're using often, or you'd like other users to use. You can save it, and with this button you can also visualize the lineage, which is really useful because you can see what queries that are used by your table, or you can see which tables are used by a particular query. Some of you have data lineage mapped in some spreadsheets in usually Excel, or maybe some other system. We're building an interface tables that you can upload this mapping into the table and then import safely to Dataedo in incremental manner, so you can repeat that process and that information will be extended in the repository. And in the future, we'll also like to add some UI for that, so you can paste it from Excel directly into Dataedo desktop and build it like that. A small change, some of you requested more flexibility on creating the lineage and column mapping for views and tables in particular. We'll be removing all the limitations. It will be very flexible, and so that's happening in the next release in early Q2. We're extending the catalog of those object types, right? So for instance, you'll have a separate folder for ETL package, some other objects like application list, API, some other elements that you can use to document manual data lineage manually. So it's more convenient, so you don't have to create a view to represent data set, for instance. We'll be extending that in the next release as well. And something we called Data Lineage Assistant, so some sort of higher level utility that will give you an overview of what you might still want to do regarding data lineage. So for instance, you have a data warehouse and you mapped some tables don't have a source, for instance, don't have any lineage, there are no inflows. So this assistant could suggest that you might want to document that, right? So if there's a table, probably it should have some lineage, or external table should have a source, right? Same with columns. We might use various logic to help you provide suggestions. That doesn't apply just for the data lineage. We'd like to build assistants for various modules to help you, guide you through the documentation process. For Tableau, in 2 months, we're planning a release for almost complete lineage, including column level lineage. So we can connect. We'll be able to connect to Tableau, and ideally it will be created almost entirely automatically, maybe excluding the custom queries. So if you're using data like linked tables, then it should be automatic. If you're using SQL, that might be a little later. For Power BI, I already mentioned that we're working on column level and also on-prem. Hard to tell when the on-prem can be shipped because it's connected with SSRS. SSIS and a number of packages will be releasing early Q3. With ideally a lot of automations that can cover most of the typical cases, such as execute SQL statement and all the data flows, including SQL query sources. For Snowflake, we're automating snow pipes and copy into statements, even from the query log. So whenever you typed it, we will be able to scan with some permissions. We can scan this log and also check those snow pipes and build lineage based on that. And also for external tables, if we can find source, we can also show how the lineage for external tables is built. Okay, so that was the overview of what we're planning. There's a lot more, but Chase right now will tell you if you'd like to use data lineage in Dataedo, what is it you need.
Perfect. So we'll go into it as far as what you need here. So first off, if you have the Dataedo or Data Catalog license, you are good to go with Lineage in both Web Catalog and Desktop. For the Enterprise and Metadata Manager, you have access to Data Lineage, but only in the Dataedo desktop. So if you want to share that through the live web catalog and have the pretty visuals like Piotr share, that is the licensing that will be you will need to upgrade your subscription. And then all of the pro users, you don't currently have access to the Data Lineage, but if you would like, we're happy to help give a reasonable upgrade pricing. For legacy users especially, we always provide larger discounts so that you can upgrade and take larger advantage of Dataedo's functionalities without having to triple your Dataedo budget. So again, that's the plan there. So just reach out if you would like to discuss further. For new customers, so people who are not working with Dataedo but want to explore it further to see even beyond Lineage if there is a fit, feel free to reach out to Jonathan at Dataedo.com. We're happy to discuss setting up a call, exploring fit and functionalities there. And then for current customers, we covered the plans. So if you do have Dataedo and Dataedo catalog, you will be able to just upgrade your plan to 10.4 and you are good to go. For legacy users wanting to upgrade, feel free to contact Jonathan and he'll get things moving on that side and get you set up with the right member of our team to make sure that you have all the information you need. We are starting a Slack channel. So if you would put in chat and say me, if you would like an invitation to the Slack channel once we get it up and going. But for now, we are planning this and preparing to launch this out to all of our customers and also the broader community. So even if you're not a Dataedo user, you'll be able to take advantage of this. There'll be a community of other data users who are sharing best practices about Dataedo, product ideas, feedback, discussions. Also a few things like data hire, so things going on that we're seeing in the data space. We're also hiring a data success manager. So this is someone who is ideally a user of Dataedo, someone familiar with data who is looking to work with our customers, teach them about Dataedo, share their knowledge, their experience of working with data and their vision for data governance in organizations and help guide our customers. You can see this on our career site if you or anyone you know of may be interested in that. And for now, we will continue with more Q&A. I haven't seen any other questions since Williams earlier in the webinar. So guys, we'll hang out just for a minute and let you all ask those questions if you have them. Oh, thanks, Hannah. Piotr, not sure if you saw that, but Hannah said, not a question, just a big fan of Piotr's cartoons. So always good to see that. And if you don't follow Piotr's cartoons, connect with him on LinkedIn. You can also subscribe to the cartoons on our website and you'll get the weekly cartoon. Those are always great to see, and I'm sure many of you resonate with them. Piotr, I believe we're all out of questions, so we can go ahead and start to wrap it up here. But we will go ahead and provide this contact information. So if you need it, this is a great way to contact us. We have our general inbox, Dataedo at Dataedo. Support issues or any needs there, support at Dataedo. We also have live chat on our website. So if you need us, we're not hard to find. Piotr, thank you for running us through Data Lineage, and I know we'll see everyone else here soon.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for watching, and see you on the next webinar.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.